Hey, it's Dr. Stone again, and today I'm going to be talking about people in history who knew things that they really had no way to know at the time that they knew them and were later found out to be correct. And this list is very long. It's over 42 people that I've compiled so far, so it's going to be a multi-part video. So whether this is intuition, speculation, visionary thinking, or divine inspiration, I have no idea. But these people all, again, were able to know something that we didn't have the technology to know about back when they knew it, and it turned out to later be correct. So first on the list is Democritus. Democritus is the one that first came up with the idea of atoms and these tiny particles that made up everything, and then elements, right? Like the idea that elements were something that could not be broken down into anything smaller than what they already are. Unlike a compound, which could be broken into two things, like water, for instance, hydrogen and oxygen, that can be broken apart into hydrogen and oxygen components, right? He was saying that there were things that were not like that, that were just pure substance before we knew it. And he was correct. He was correct 2,000 years before we discovered he was correct. Dmitri Mendeleev, the person that is responsible for the periodic table of elements, he decided to arrange the elements in order of their atomic weight. And even though some were missing at the time, he guessed what those atomic weights would be and left spaces, empty spaces in the periodic table so that they could be filled in later. And he was correct. The gaps were filled in, and they are now. It's now a complete chart, at least for now. It's complete. Johannes Kepler. This is in the 17th century, so 1600s, and he proposed the idea that, he knew that. Next we have Johannes Kepler from the 1600s. He knew that light traveled in a straight line and acted like particles. His ideas were later supported by Newton, and then later, like in the 20th century, were determined to be true. Marie Curie and her husband, actually in the late 1800s, discovered radioactivity, and she died from it too, but hey, she still discovered it, and she knew about it, she looked for it, and she found it. Makes you wonder, is it found because it was thought about, or was it thought about because it existed? In the 1700s, Immanuel Kant, the philosopher, he said, you know what, I bet there's other planets out there that orbit a sun just like ours. And in 1990, that was discovered to be true. Okay, so this guy, I don't know, I'm going to pronounce his name terribly, but it's August Kekulé? I don't know. He's German, okay? And this was in 1865. He said that the structure of benzene came to him in a dream, and he drew it out, and it was accurate. Long before Charles Darwin, in 5th century BC, there was Empedocles, who knew about the concept of natural selection and evolution way, way, way before Charles Darwin did. In the 1600s, René Descartes, he knew that the pineal gland in the brain was the seat of the soul, meaning that it was very important and the center place where the mind and the brain came together. And later it was validated that, in fact, that is responsible for our circadian rhythm, our wake and sleep cycles, which is pretty damn important. But there was no way for him to actually have known that ahead of time because we didn't have any kind of technology like that. Thales of Miletus in 6th century BC knew about static electricity and magnetism far before the 19th century, when it was in fact validated. Again, in ancient Greece, in 5th century BC, Heraclitus, he proposed that change is a fundamental nature of the universe and that nothing was static. And that was later proven to be true with quantum mechanics and thermodynamics, showing that indeed energy is always at a state of motion and nothing is static or unchanging. And last on this list for this section anyways is Leonardo da Vinci. And we all know about him, right? But he knew about helicopters and airplanes way before they were anywhere near being invented. So this list and the ones that are going to follow just serve to elucidate you on how many people in our history were aware of things that they could not have been aware of. Kind of psychic, like, maybe, right? And again, no one believed them at the time, so, but later they were proven to be correct. So again, before you knock it and say it's not real, remember all of the things that people knew about somehow, some way, that ended up actually being real from history. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then go back and watch my previous videos, because I have been listing them for the past couple days and I'm going to continue to, and I have a lot more, so get ready. All right.